are the perfect segue to our last honoree as we turn now to remember Anthony Lewis. Like a lot of people who are here and who are public defenders, I was inspired by Tony Lewis's marvelous account of the Gideon case and Gideon's trumpet. It told us how desperately one needed a lawyer, one accused of a crime. It told us a lot about lawyering, about Abe Fortas and his team at the Supreme Court, and Fred Turner, the lawyer who represented Gideon at his retrial and brought about his acquittal. It told us what difference a lawyer makes. As Tony wrote in his article in the New York Times the next day, the day after the acquittal, the difference between the two trials was in the second one. Gideon had a lawyer. And after describing the decision, he wrote this: "It will be an enormous dream to bring to life the promise of Gideon versus Wainwright, the dream of a vast, diverse country in which every person accused of a crime will be capably defended, no matter what their economic circumstances, in which the lawyer representing him will do so proudly, without resentment of an unfair burden, and with the support and resources necessary to make an adequate defense." It was an enormous task, but it seemed like worthwhile, and I tried to play my part, and I've never regretted it. I also knew Tony Lewis, of course, from his column, At Home Abroad, or Abroad at Home. I never could keep track of where he was, given the name of the column, but I read it. For over 30 years, he was the nation's most eloquent advocate for justice in all sorts of areas. Not long after I left Washington and went to Washington 30 years ago, George Kendall and I were asked if we could help prepare a prominent Boston lawyer, Margaret Marshall, to argue before the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. She had taken on the case of Van Solomon, a man on death row, and she was arguing it pro bono. We, of course, were happy to do it. That's what we did, was work on death penalty cases there in Georgia. She let us know, though, that she'd be accompanied by her fiancé, Anthony Lewis. Our reaction to that was much like the reaction a 13-year-old kid might have had in 1927 if you said somebody's coming to visit and they're bringing their friend Babe Ruth along. We were absolutely thrilled that we were going to get to meet Tony Lewis. And of course, we were delighted to find Tony to be the kind, welcoming, gentle, and interesting, and marvelous human being he was. During the argument, I have one great memory of that argument, that Margaret was before the court arguing, and one of the judges on the court, not the friendliest panel, a lot friendlier than we have today, but anyway, one of the judges asked a question which was verbatim a question that George tried asking the movie. Tony was sitting a couple rows ahead of us and kind of looked over his shoulder and raised his eyebrows and smiled and looked back. I'll never forget that. From then on, we were in touch. Tony was interested in what was happening on the ground in the courtrooms and how the right to counsel was being treated in courtrooms all over the country. He was dismayed that many jurisdictions simply disregarded Gideon, treating it as an unfunded mandate. He wrote and spoke about it for the rest of his life with his usual grace and eloquence. For the last several years, I've made a trip to Cambridge just about every year and had dinner with Tony and Margaret. It was always a special evening, and it was enriched by Tony's wisdom and his perspective. Maybe one of the most memorable was the night we were at your place and we were talking about South Africa, and a lot of people, including Albie Sachs, was there, who was justice on the South African Constitutional Court. He was, like I was, teaching in a little short session at Harvard. Last month, Tony Lewis participated in a panel at Brandeis on Gideon. I have it from a very reliable source who was there that he was the best person on the panel. And it was very funny a couple of times. His remarkable life ended a week later. We will have 3 remembrances of Tony in a moment, but first, I want to ask the great love of his life, the former Chief Justice of Massachusetts, and the woman who brought Anthony Lewis, the great lawyer who brought Anthony Lewis to Atlanta that time, Margaret Marshall, to come forward and say.
introduction, but God, that old argument was the worst I have ever had. God, those judges. Oh, I used to think about that sometimes when I was on the bench. It was awful. It was awful. I think Tony would have loved to have been here this evening. He really would. And I think for at least 2 reasons. First, Tony loved Jenny Sloan. He told me again and again and again about the extraordinary work that Jenny has done for so long to safeguard liberty, justice, and the rule of law. And for Tony, that was work of the highest order. So thank you, Jenny, on behalf of Tony. The second, and forgive me, Jenny, but this was his greater love. Tony loved the Constitution of the United States. He loved the Constitution. He lived the Constitution. He taught the Constitution. He believed in the Constitution. And he wrote about the Constitution over and over and over again. The United States, he said, has been shaped by arguments over the Constitution as it has been by the Constitution. That was in 1987. In the end, he said, the distinctive character of the American Constitution does not lie in this particular clause or that. It lies in our willingness to accept the Constitution, interpreted by judges, as law. Other peoples, he said, look to pageantry, or history, or ethnic identity, or ideology. Our national sense of legitimacy rests on law. The United States is a country extraordinarily rich and extraordinarily free, he continued. We achieved that because of our commitment to the ideas proposed on September 17, 1787. That is what Tony believed. Clarence Earl Gideon made the Constitution work. For Tony, Gideon's trumpet was his attempt to teach that even a man tossed aside by life, as Tony described Gideon, could make the Constitution work. Gideon's trumpet was written for adults, Tony thought, until the daughter of a friend, then in 7th grade, told Tony she had just finished reading it. But it's for adults, Tony protested. Oh, that's okay, she replied. I got double book credit for it. Last week I had this message from his now grown-up reader. I have to believe the world is a better place because Tony lived in it, she wrote. Wherever he is, I'll bet he's getting double credit. Tony never lost faith in our ability to make the Constitution work. Never. But it will not happen automatically, he wrote in his last column for the New York Times on December 15, 2001. Freedom under law is hard work, he wrote. If rulers cannot be trusted with arbitrary power, it is up to citizens to raise their voice to injustice. Thank you, and thank everyone this evening for raising your voices to injustice. Tony lives in each one of you. Thank you.